martial law.
My name grabs incredible. The incredible.
On entering the alarm, another sound is dying.
The incredible.
On entering the alarm, another sound is dying.
The incredible, lyrical, and
They
original.
slept on me and said they meant no harm, but I'm dangerous like shutting your eyes and turning off the alarm. You should have sweat the technique. This is how a king look when he got bars and just got finished reading Rakim's book. In this game, every shot is wet. I'm Poseidon, looking at the ocean, deciding if I'ma dive in. Some already left running when they came for him. I'm in these streets so much, my foot evolved and became a Tim. I'm never catering, I'm wavering. I spit harder on the mic, I get fouler than divorcing your sick partner. I got crowds jumping like a young Vince Carter, and my competition they pulling out like King Arthur. My album drop, you gon' think it's it's Christmas Day. My fans gon' be rocking more beats by Dre than Michelin. Even Yoda told me within me the force is strong. All along I wrote this with the infinity gauntlet on. I better best and told Professor X what he thought is wrong. I'm getting checks, you never sex, I'm what you call a dawn. I'm God's creature, I'm Hurricane Katrina with the fever mixed with tequila, filled up with ether coming through your speaker. I'm Messi to Argentina, I'm my leader. My style love like Venus, word to Serena when she eager, returning the heater in Wimbledon Arena. That's standard procedure, I will make you a believer. Side flips besides this, these guys bitch. I seen your eyes twitch, plus energy's dry snitch to 6 feet from my face. I'll kick you in the left side of your chest and put your heart into the right place.
I put your heart into the right place. Clip your wings, nigga. It's hard trying to fly straight. You silence them up for most of the spark that the fire makes. Team bang dope gang. We are the Empire State, not just NY. We are the entire state. Crack era. People be going off and it vibrate. When I walk with the 9-year apartment and annihilate. Your pupils all small, trying to dilate. I run from the wall when I violate. Cause when I water ride, it be harder to slide like Santa Claus in a fireplace. Fat big man things are ordered in entire plate. I'm parking.
Yes, my brother, 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 my brother.
What's going on, sir? Can you hear me?
Yo,
Am I coming through clear?
The boy Josh, let's go. One of the greatest human beings I know. Yo,
What's going on?
I met a lot of people in this lifetime.
Okay.
You're top 5 all time, my guy.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
All time.
You've been all over the planet.
This country, that country, here, there, everywhere. Top 5 all time. Joshua, one of my best friends. Thank you for joining me, my brother.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here, man.
No doubt, it's all genuine. So make sure I have this on record. Yeah, I got it on record. So my brother, longtime friend, please, for people that may not know you, tell them who you are and what you represent.
Okay. Who am I and what do I represent? We starting off with the easy questions, I see. That's the softball, right?
Easy question.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm gonna try to make it quick for you because I think about that question often, believe it or not. Like that's something that comes to me and it hits me that you can ask me that question a half an hour from now and I might have a completely different answer and it'll be just as genuine. It'll still be the truth, but
I can
it evolves. It evolves and you're thinking about different things. So right now on today, I would tell you that who am I? I am, as you said, a brother, most importantly, a father, a son, grandson, hopefully a friend, but I'm all of those things. And what I represent is all of those people that make those titles real. Because all of those people, you feel me, played that part in pushing you along, making you who you are, teaching you lessons, intentionally, unintentionally. So that's who I represent. I represent those people, and that's what I'm about. That family aspect, that those relationships that count. That's what matters to me.
I can dig it. So I wanted to base this interview around. So I wrote a book. Okay. I told you, obviously, each chapter is a different law. So I wanted to base this interview off the law that I created, which is called "Do the best you can to be the best you can." I've seen you exemplify greatness in several areas of your life. Yet, as far as my eyes can see, you've never had any clear advantages in your life. But you've always been able to get towards your success through hard work and even won awards because of it. I believe you're a boss because of that. How would you say you've been able to maintain that character?
It's a good question. I would say, first and foremost, I would challenge the fact of the advantages, because I think it's all about what you view as an advantage. Like, so, you could view somebody coming from money as, all right, that's an advantage. They had this given to them, or their father was a lawyer, or a cop. Anything crazy like that we might look at as an advantage. But to be honest, I look at my mother as that's an advantage. Having somebody in your corner that's gonna back you no matter what, like back you as you grow and change, and through the years of like acting like a straight fool. Like, for the people that don't know, like, you've known me for, what are we going on now, Silent, 25 years or something like that.
Damn
like
yeah,
I mean, I'm aging us a little bit, but yeah, for like 25 years we've known each other, so more than most. Like, yeah, I put my mom, we went through it, you know what I'm saying? So I was a knucklehead. So to have that in your corner, and for her and my grandmother to set the examples that they did set, like, they shaped my life in a way that, definitely made me feel like I had advantages, because I understood what work ethic was. I understood what perseverance was. I understood that, from an early age, like, you take losses, like, life is hard. Like, you learn this. I mean, I learned this pretty early, that, things ain't always sweet. But I saw people get through that and push through that. And, that's what I came from. So I always just try to keep that focus. But I definitely look at having somebody in your back, like in your background for you, just going to constantly push you and stick with you no matter what. That's an advantage. So anybody that has that, like, might not have the money, but you've got advantages. So I think I had that. And that's what really pushed me to move the way that I move.
Well, two things came to mind when you spoke. Number one was, a lot of times when people give credit to their influences, they talk about, one of their parents, but you had just spoke about your grandma. What would you say your grandma means to you, and how would you say she's influenced your life?
I was close. Like, I mean, my grandma died in 91. So my grandma died. I was real young when that happened, but the impact, like, I lived with my grandma for, I guess, almost for most of the life that I can remember up to that point. I had lived with her. So her, me, my mom, we was all there. So that influence she had, that unconditional love that she gave me, like that belief that, what every kid should have. Like, every kid should have somebody in their corner that gives them that belief that, you can do just whatever. Like, life is sweet. Like, making you feel safe. Like, you don't know what you don't have. Like, you feel like you have everything that you need, no matter where you're living at, no matter what you're eating. You know what I'm saying? Like, you look back on it and go, oh, well, that might have been a little bit of a struggle, but the fact that you had people in your life to make you feel like you wasn't struggling, like, I was on cloud 9 as a kid with my grandma. So she was everything. And, her, and again, going back to my mom, like, that shapes me. And I feel like, not even strangely, it makes sense, but as I went through life, like, the women that I was able to cross paths with, like, become friends with, or have any types of significant real dealings with, all good people, like, all good women, good hearts, strong, independent. And I think, like, the fact that I was able to draw that to me came from my mom and my grandma. Like, that's what I was looking for. Like, that's what I expect, and that's what I draw to myself.
That's an awesome answer. So the second thing I had wanted, the way you and your mom united together like the Avengers this past weekend to whoop my ass in spades was a beautiful thing.
Listen.
I don't like losing at all. But I feel like losing to you and your mom was almost something beautiful that I had to see. It was beautiful. I saw a different aspect. You and her together were like the motherfucking Avengers.
Yo, she's a trip. You see, I be having to fall back because she talks so greasy that I'm like, I don't even want to jump in. Like, it's going to be too raw. Like she, she turns into a different person. Like and that's what no drink.
I mean,
like,
you saw me at the table. She was giving me all I could handle.
Yeah, because she smelt it. Yeah,
and
she was like a shark. She smelt it. She was like, "Oh, is this bothering you?" Like, that's where I get it from. She's like, I'm going to entertain myself. She fires in like, okay, if it's bothering you, you're going to get it all night long until you stop me, and she don't care. So yeah, that's her.
I could
that's
only
my heart.
smile because I saw it.
I mean,
I love it.
It's a lot of experience on the table there. It's like 80 years of spades experience on the table right there.
I still want a rematch, but that's neither here nor there.
It's all good. You get it.
So, I chose to interview you not only because you're one of my best friends, but because you're one of the most consistent people I've known. And whether that's sometimes people can be consistent in a bad way, like consistently assholes. Sometimes people can be, but that matter neither way. I don't give a fuck. I just want consistency. I want to believe who you are, and you've always been consistent, and to me has been a consistently good friend. Also, one of the smartest people I know.
Thank you.
My logo means to not conform and to always be true to yourself. And as far as everything that I've known about you, that's everything you embody. Like when you have this on, this pretty much says Josh to me. So, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, there we go.
How were you able to become that comfortable in your own skin from that early? Like, was it learned behavior? Were you always like this? Or did you, I mean, I want to ask if you had an early influence. You already spoke about your grandma and your mom, so maybe that's it, but I want to hear it from you.
I would definitely not say, I don't feel like it was always a natural thing. You know what I'm saying? I think as a kid, and I don't think it's just me, I think a lot of kids feel this way. They might not have the emotional intelligence to explain it to you as they're a kid. And then as we get older, there's no real point in looking back to some of that, uneasy feeling, like who wants to go back there? But if I'm being honest, I think early on, like, I didn't have that. You, especially for me, you can't see it sitting down. Your viewers won't be able to see it, but I'm 6'3.5", 6'4". I've always been like, I've always stood out. Mm-hmm. So as a kid, when you get talked to or the very first thing they say about you is something that you really have no control over, it doesn't make you like, it kind of makes you like, I just want to be like everybody else.
Right.
I don't want to stand out that, like, I don't have any control over that. What yeah, I'm tall. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like after you hear that 1,000 times, what do you play basketball or how's the weather up there? Like, you know what I'm saying? After you hear that 1,000 times, you like, man, whatever. Like at a young age, you're just like, yeah, I just want to be like everybody else. And I think a lot of kids go through that. So I would think that's something that came later on in life. And I would think it came as more of a necessity of feeling like the influence would be everyone that I came in contact with. You know what I'm saying? Because you learn, I'm an observant person. I pick up on human nature, what people are about, how people behave. You know what I'm saying? So what I picked up on was if you let somebody know, like, they can impact you, like if you give somebody that control, they will try to exert that whenever they please. Like you will become their punching, like when they need a boost, they'll make that boost off of you if you allow that to happen. And I feel like as a way to control myself and control my environment, control my own temperament and feeling and just my whole aura, like just to be able to maintain that control, you have to be like, you can't be worried about anybody else.
Right.
You can't let somebody feel like, oh, you're different. You should be this. Like, soon as you hand that over, like, people are running your life. Like, you'll never regain that.
Right.
So you always got to be like, I am who I am. I am different. You got to accept that I am different. Yeah, I'm tall, but yeah, I'm smart. Yeah, I'm this, I'm that. Some people ain't gonna like me. But you said before, like, some people could be consistent assholes. We have friends that would say, yeah, like if George watches this, he's gonna be like, he has been a consistent asshole. You know, George. That's what. But own that. Like, you need to figure out as early as possible who you are, and be
Right.
okay with that, and work on
Right.
being the best you that you can be. And when I started putting that together as I got older, like life becomes a lot easier. Like you're not taking on a lot of the stress that you might have taken on as a child when you didn't know, when you felt the need to try to conform. I don't want to be different. You get older, you own who you are, and you embrace that. Yeah, what's different is going to make me whatever I'm meant to be. It's going to be because I'm different, and that's going to be for me, my lane. So that's kind of where that came from. It was learned.
I want to give it up
needed
for
to
that
happen.
answer. That's a great answer. I want to give it up for that answer. I want to give it up for that answer. So so we met in high school, and I found out you were intelligent through conversation, but I don't know if I would have found that out through your schoolwork, because school, as far as I remember, wasn't your favorite thing. Now, however, you have a son that just graduated high school, is heading to a university, and is highly intelligent. And it seems school is his thing. For parents out there struggling to get their own children to focus in school, do you have any gems, or can you share any insight as to how you were able to, you and obviously his mother were able to guide your oldest child to understand the importance of education, because he obviously understands it's important.
Okay. All right. First, though, I got to dispute something. I like school. School didn't necessarily like me, but I like school. I enjoyed learning. It just got to a point where I might have learned more in the hallways and after school and in a whole lot of other places, but I enjoyed school. I enjoyed learning. As far as my son, I would say that number one, I got very, very lucky. Like how some people, like even how my mom used to tell me, like, "Oh, can't wait till you have a kid." Like she thought my kid was gonna put me through it. Like she thought, like, "Oh, all that karma's coming back to you." Like, yeah, all of those sleepless nights. And to disappoint her, hasn't happened. Like I got a kid that's just a little bit different with that. Like he's the greatest in my eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my son. But he's always had that focus of, I'm going to, like, what's expected, I'm going to try to do what's expected. Like he show him the goal, and he's always been that one that wanted to go for that. So what I try to do for the honest part is, number one, not get in the way of that. And I would say number two is embrace the process. Like try to get your kid to embrace the process. It's not always about the result. Like you just want your kid to work up to his full abilities. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe your kid's not an A+ kid. I got lucky, like the honor roll and honor society type of kid, but it doesn't matter. Like as long as your kid is working to his full potential, I think that should be the goal. So what I always focus on is, if you're working hard, I'm proud. Like I don't gotta wait for the grade to come back in. The fact that I saw you grinding on it, and me and you worked on it, and we went back and forth with study tests and got late and got tired, and we both got frustrated at each other, you know what I'm saying? Dealing with a 7-year-old that doesn't want to be doing the homework. You don't want to be doing the homework. But the fact that I saw you go through that, like, I'm already proud. So I let that be known before you went to go take the test. I already let you know that I'm proud about the process that you took to get there, because it's about the work. If you can build the work ethic and have them have that expectation, like if you work hard, for the most part, good things are gonna happen. Maybe not always, but good things are gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So if you try to build that, you're going, more times than not, you're gonna lead your child down the road of success, I would say. So that's what I tried to focus on with them. And I would say that's what you should focus on with every kid, is the process. Get them to love the process.
That's a dope answer. So in my life, I've known you to be a boss at several jobs. I've even had jobs where I worked with you at where you were like the boss. I don't even say like the boss, you were the boss. I think we worked at FedEx and you were bossing, you know what I'm saying? I was a package handler, you know what I'm saying? And you wasn't handling packages, you was telling us what to do. So as far as I remember, you've been a boss for a long time. What would you say are some qualities that a boss or leader should exhibit in the workplace that are not spoken about enough?
I would say one of the most important things when it comes from the leader. I'm gonna focus on the word leader because those are the ones that have the most success. The boss, manager, super, those are titles. Like you might get that walking in the door because you have a degree. Doesn't mean that you're a leader. Doesn't mean that people are gonna follow you, but people respond to leadership. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to leadership, number one is as the leader, you need to understand that, yeah, they might report to you. They don't necessarily work for you. You kind of work for them. Your job is to put them in a position to be successful. They have clear expectations and they know what the goal is. They know how to reach the goal. They know what's going to happen if they do. They know what's going to happen if they don't. Like if you're doing all of those things, supporting them, trying to know who they are and what motivates them and what they want out of life and trying to figure out how you can get that to align with whatever you're trying to accomplish at whatever company it is or whatever goal it is that you're trying to do. If you can do those things, like, again, good things that happen. So you need to have the idea that you work for them. They report to you, but your responsibility is them. You're supposed to take care of them. And also as the leader, I mean, the one of the clear signs is you should be very quick. Like your number one thing is something goes right. You need to give that credit to your team. Like who doesn't matter if you're the one that delivered the message, the email came from you. Those people that work for you, you need to be the first one to give credit to them. And when things go wrong, you need to be the first one standing up, taking the blame for that, because that's what leadership is. And if you do that, you get the respect of your people and they'll do things above and beyond without you having to do some manipulation or do it for the culture or any of that bullshit. If you treat your people that way and they see that in you, they're going to go all out. Your goal is going to become their goal. They're going to work with you. So that's what I found to have the most success. If you just treat people straight up like that, there you go. That's it. That's what I would say. That doesn't get
you're going to have me wearing this applause button now, man. You're dropping jewels on the people right now. You're dropping jewels on the people.
That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for.
So, you recently had your second child in the middle of the pandemic. What the F?
Yeah.
I might add, what has that been like? And what are some of your major concerns for, this young child growing up in the middle of the pandemic?
To the first part, what has it been like? Blessing. The easiest explanation to it is a blessing. And I would say in more ways than one. Although, the pandemic took a lot of lives from us. Yeah, you saw a lot of people going through it. Within my small little world bubble, like I'm very thankful to say, like, wasn't impacted that strongly. And what it did enable me to do is be here every single day since the day my son was born. You know what I'm saying? And leading up to him being born, just being here every single day, just watching everything. So this time around, I mean, we're talking about 17 years difference between my first and my second, obviously, but being able to be here every single day, watching just the smallest things and seeing those signs that you missed the first time around. Sometimes you're working, you're grinding, you're young, be honest, a little stupid sometimes. You know what I'm saying? You're going through your own little stuff, still growing up, but being at the age that I'm at right now and being able to be here every single day, like all around, just definitely a blessing, just being able to see the growth of the child and looking at the world through a child's eyes, which is probably one of the most beautiful things that you can do. As far as the second part of your question, concerns, I'm not sure pandemic-wise has raised any new concerns for my youngest. I would say the same concerns I had for my oldest, I would have for my youngest, because they're kind of within the same world. You know what I'm saying? Like, although this year brought a lot of craziness, but I don't know how many more pandemics we're going to have. That's not something I'm going to really focus on. It's possible, but that's not something I'm going to really focus my energy on. As far as, police shootings and things like that, not to, not act like it's important, but it ain't new. They've been doing that since we was kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not new. It's just getting videotaped a lot more.
Right.
So those things that's happened in the last year during the pandemic haven't really changed my concerns. My concern is more for these kids, social media, or just the internet in general. You know what I'm saying? Like something we didn't necessarily have to deal with. It was there when we was young, but nowhere near to the level that it's at right now. You know what I'm saying? When we was kids, I feel like
Yeah, I
your
do.
parents had to worry about who are you hanging out with and what are you watching on TV. 'Cause that was it.
Right.
Nowadays, your kid could be in the same room with you getting recruited by the Taliban. You don't even know, fam. Like the internet is crazy. Like, yo, this is anything on the internet, fam.
Facts.
You
Right.
know, so all of those just real concerns of what is your child seeing? What is he taking in? Like you can't lock down every device. Like they're gonna find a device that's not locked down and they're gonna have at it. They're gonna see the world. So like that challenge of making sure that you're having all the conversations that you need to have before something happens that comes up on the internet. Like a quick
Right.
story, I'll tell you my youngest when I knew that things was crazy. When he was going into high school, I had to tell him like, I know things might get a little wild, but if somebody sends you naked pictures, you can't send those to somebody else. You know that they
Right.
giving people charges for that. They giving young boys charges for that, like kiddie porn type of stuff, even though
Right.
you're all kids. Like having that,
Right.
like that's something that my mom would never have had to even fathom thinking about. You know what I'm saying? But that lets you know that it's a crazier time. So I would say internet all around is what scares me the most with the kids and trying to be on top of everything that could possibly be on there. Like that's the terrifying part.
I can dig it. I can dig it. So, with that said, what would you say in your lifetime? And to me, this might be a little bit of a hard question because it's a lifetime question.
Okay.
But in your lifetime, what is the best piece of advice someone has ever given you?
I think I can give a lot of answers off of this one, but I guess it's fitting because I'm talking to you. And it's true though. When I was having, so I'm gonna say at this point, it was probably about 19 years ago, give or take. So my oldest will be 18 actually in 2.5 hours. So in advance, happy birthday to H.E.R. But yeah, that's coming up, 2.5 hours. But so I'm gonna say somewhere probably about 19 years ago, me and you were having a conversation, and this is me as a very young man, like 20 years old, 21 years old, you know what I'm saying? Terrified. And the advice that you gave me was once a decision is made, like once you know this is what you're doing, you jump all in. That was the advice. It was jump all in. And very simple conversation. Somebody might say like, oh, you should have just known that. But in that moment, like I listened to that and I followed that advice. Like got my head around like this is what's happening. I'm having this baby. And then I was all in. Like just this is all in.
Yeah.
And the reason why I would put it up there with some of the best advice that I've ever gotten is because a characteristic of good advice is you can apply it to multiple things.
Mm-hmm.
And needless to say, I've used that countless times in my life of, hey, a decision's been made, jump all in.
Right.
Don't hesitate, don't 1 foot in, don't, it's getting hard, why did this have to happen? Nah, the decision's already been made. There's no, why is anything happening? It's already happened. What are you doing now? Go all in. And there you go.
Thank
so
you,
I would
brother.
say that's it. So shout out to you. I don't got the applause button, but if you got an applause button, give yourself some applause because there you go. That was damn near 20 years ago.
Thank you. One of my favorite quotes come to mind. I don't know if you ever heard me say this, but after hearing you say that, one of my favorite quotes come to mind, and it's by the Dalai Lama. And the Dalai Lama says, "One should either sit or stand, but never wobble in between."
I support it.
Facts.
Definitely.
So to switch it up, not what you've learned, but what you've passed down. What is the greatest lesson you could pass down to the youth that you've learned?
I would say it's almost connected to what we were just talking about, but I would tell them, and what I would tell my son, and I'll tell the youngest, I've already told the oldest, what I would tell your son is there's always going to be a reason to not succeed. Like, it's not hard to find one. You're black, you're underprivileged, you're missing a parent, you're missing both parents. You got two parents, but they don't really care. They gave you everything, they gave you nothing. Like, there's always going to be a reason to not succeed. There's going to be bumps in the road, sometimes very unfair. Sometimes things fall on children that you go like, this doesn't make any sense. But there's always going to be those things. But when those things happen, you have to make a choice. And it's either I'm going to make a move and keep going, or I'm going to curl up and give up. There's no two ways about it. Like, if you want to get through this life, like, you've got to make that decision. And if you make that decision to get up and make a move, then at some point it almost doesn't matter. Like, you've got to get through it. And I know we start at disadvantage. You feel like it's a marathon and people are already 2 miles ahead of you. But even that, you make a decision. If you really want to catch up, then you already know what you got to do. Run harder.
Right.
Like, you got to run harder than the person that has the advantage. You got to run hard. Even if you're running at the same pace as that person, you're not going to catch up. You have to run harder. So make that decision. There's, no matter what happens to you, and I know people have some horrible things, like some things you can't even imagine, like, have happened to them. I've heard the stories of just so many people that I know personally, but anything that's happened, trust me, the world's been around a very long time. Somebody else has gone through it and they've gotten out of it. So I would tell my son, your son, like, if whoever that person is that went through that thing and got out of it, if they can do it, like, you got to ask yourself, why not you? Why won't you do it?
Right.
So there you go. So like I said,
concur, Dr. Spock.
Thank you.
Yo, so in 2021, everybody and their mama also, like even my mama on social media.
I think my mom might be on there too.
You found a way to avoid it at all costs. I think you even told me to take a picture of you down one time. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I wouldn't doubt it.
How would you say staying off social media has benefited you if in any way?
I mean, it's hard to say because I don't have a comparison. I'm only looking at other people's experience from the outside, and sometimes I'm like, you're taking it too serious, or you're mad. Like, if you put your phone down and you're mad because of whatever, like, why do it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's enough things that's going to come at you in life that you're going to be mad about, that you feels like you had no control of. It just popped up. Like, why go on, you know what I'm saying? Like, go on there. And so I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the real answer, is I don't know. Because I can't say it from my personal, like, opinion. I've never been on there. It's not like I was on there and just shut it down and had a bad experience. I just never really had that much of an interest. I would say
never.
You know what? You remember back in the day, this again is going to show our age. You remember MySpace. I know you remember MySpace, right?
Nah, I don't know what you're talking about, dog.
Okay, whatever. So for those that do remember MySpace, I remember like being over somebody's house and looking over their shoulder and they messing around and looking at people's MySpace pages. And I'm seeing people that I know, and I'm seeing the different shit that they posted. And I'm like, that's not real though. Like, that's not who that person is. So I said, well, damn, it seemed like a lot of effort just to be making some shit up, and like, just what was I got better things to do. Like, that was my thought then. Now I know it's drastically changed, and people tell me, oh, I use it to stay connected. But my counter is, you know, if I lost connection with you, like, I've had the same phone number for like 13 years. If I've lost connection with you, it's all right. Like, I don't need social media to make it a little bit easier. I ain't trying to be that accessible. So I don't know. I just never figured out that there was something to gain in there for me. I like being where I'm at. If I'm in the house with my family, then yeah, I'm either watching TV by myself or I'm with my family. I don't need to see what anybody else is doing. I don't care that much.
I can dig it. And I would say, if I wasn't doing what I was doing, then I probably wouldn't be on social media.
So it makes sense. But I got to get something. If I'm going to put effort, I got to get something out of it. And it's not, I ain't out there for the likes. I ain't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not following any, you know, Just
Yeah,
no interest.
I get it. However,
No
in
interest.
saying this, I don't think we're getting anywhere away from it. So
Nah,
where
not at
would
all.
you say the world is heading to? Where would you say the world is heading to in the next 10 years? And do you have any concerns about where we might be heading on a whole?
I mean, ton of concerns. I mean, my big, and me and you've talked about one of these concerns is that this last year and a half, or what I think this last year and a half has done to some children, like I don't think all children are built to learn off of a computer. I think some
Right.
kids need that interaction. I think there's going to be a lot of kids that have been impacted over the last year and a half, 2 years. Like it's going to have a lasting impact on their lives going forward.
Mhm.
Because I think these last year and a half for some has just been a wrap. Like, yeah, you might still be in school. They might have moved your grade, but I can tell I've got a kid in high school. Like I was looking like, fam, this ain't school. Like what you doing? Like I'm sure somebody's checking it off and saying, yeah, you were there, but fam, you're not being challenged. You're not learning. You're walking around the house at 10:30 like I'm done. That's not school. So I know other kids are going to fall through the cracks. So that's a concern I have going forward that I think is going to have a lasting impact. As far as the social media, like beyond that, I mean, there's going to be positives and negatives to it. Again, I see a concern with children, like this it's too much. Like I think it's almost sensory overload. You know what I'm saying? Like they're taking in so much information and it's not all helpful. It's not all useful. Like the internet and social media is giving everybody a voice, and a lot of people might be like, "Yeah," but the truth is, everybody might not have needed a voice. I just might want to put that out there. Like certain people might have just
You might be right
been
about
better
that.
just quiet. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
there's an old saying like it's better to be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt, something like that.
Yeah, I heard
And
it.
that's kind of what I see out there. So, and that's you look at the news, like people believe whatever. Like it's like you get the right person saying it or enough people saying it, and grown adults believe whatever. They're willing to storm Capitol buildings off of whatever. You know what I'm saying? So you can imagine what being on the internet all day long for kids is. And again, it's how do you limit that when there's phones, computers, friends' houses, friends have phones? Like, how are you really on it? Like, internet blackout for any child. Like, it's not realistic in this day and age.
So a lot of times, I get caught up in bodying what I don't like about society, but there's a lot I do like about society. What would you say specifically about America is one of the greatest things about America that doesn't get highlighted enough?
One of the greatest things, I think, I'm not going to say it doesn't get highlighted enough. I think it gets talked about. Maybe it gets talked about too much and people don't even think it's real. But I do believe that you've got an opportunity here.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard, like, as much as we complain, when you go talk to somebody that's like, nah, I didn't have plumbing in my country before I got here, and you hear their stories, it kind of makes you think like, nah, they came here for a reason. Like there's opportunity here. You can change your circumstances in one generation here. Not saying it's easy.
I'll take it.
You know what I'm saying? Not saying you don't need help, but it can happen here. You know what I'm saying? You see people come through and generation forward, their kid's a doctor. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you have that opportunity. You got a good idea. You have, you work smart and hard. If you could do both, if you could work smart and hard, some good ideas. And obviously you need a little bit of luck with that, but it's there. There's other places where it's like, man, your good idea ain't gonna do nothing but torture you, fam. Like, you like that. Your good idea is not producing dinner. You know what I'm saying? Like so that's what I would say. You do have an opportunity here, and it's easy to overlook that. But I mean, we all met each other, like me, you, just we all met each other in a place where, I mean, quite honestly, all of our parents was moving there because they had done a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? Like they had moved someplace in life and had elevated themselves and said, this is a place where our sons could have a better opportunity. And,
I know that's certainly why we moved from England to America.
So,
certainly, yes.
I mean, again, there's the opportunity here. I think that gets lost sometimes in the midst of all the craziness. Not to say we can't address the craziness, but you know, that's something to address too.
I'll take it. So a little bit switching gears. In our crew, you know, we have like a core crew.
Definitely.
In our crew, we only have strong-minded individuals, which is crazy because we really don't ever argue and nobody is ever agreeable with each other. It's not like we're arguing, but we definitely, like, it's very clear to see.
Yeah.
Individuals, all of us. So regardless of how well we always seem, I feel like you always check in. And what drives you to make sure that your friends are always doing good? Because that's something I always notice about you. You always check in, dog. I feel like you know that I'm doing my thing, but you always check in, and I really appreciate that. What makes you do that, and how important do you think it is that energy is reciprocated?
It's just the love, man. I mean, I look at it as, you know, the brothers. Like, if y'all not good, no matter how good I am, if y'all not good, that's going to impact me. Like, I'm not going to be living my fullest. I can't be my happiest if y'all not good. So I'm always going to check in. I'm just drawn to do that. It's a need I have. Like, I got to know, even if I'm not talking to you, I go, like, truth be told, I might go a month and a half, 2 months. Like, I've gone long times without talking to people for whatever reason, like caught up in my own thing, thinking they're caught up in something else, phone tag, whatever. But, you know, just, it's a natural thing. Like, you want to know where your people is. Like, I got little sisters. It's the same thing. Like, yeah, we're not speaking every week, but I need to know they're good. Like, that's always going to be on my mind no matter what. So, you know, I'm just doing what comes naturally to me. As far as does it need to be reciprocated? In some cases, I would say nah, because again, I'm just doing what I'm doing. Like, I am who I am, independent of anybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't. Again, life is better when you're comfortable being who you are, and again, you don't need to see everybody doing the same thing that you're doing. Like, it's what I want to do. So yeah, I don't need the same type of call. I feel like as long as I know that if it goes crazy and I need to place that call, my guys will come through. And I've seen that. I've seen that recently. You know what I'm saying? Like, you put the call out and dudes popped up like Voltron, like just within 3 hours. You got guys coming from 3.5 hours away, just like, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? So I don't necessarily need it reciprocated in that sense. And then and another thing I would look at is sometimes I'm looking out for people because I feel like I'm the one reciprocating, because I've already gotten so much from my people. Like, you know, again, that crew you talking about, like, it's 25 years, you know, and more in some cases. Like, 25 years is a long time. Like, that's not by accident. That's not because, oh, you was in my math class. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's we've been through it. I mean, ups, downs, and all that. So, you know, it's cemented. You know, it's always going to be cemented. So I don't need much in return. Like, I'm always going to give what I feel like it is due, and that's what's due to my people. You know what I'm saying? Making sure that they're good.
I'll take that. So switching gears again a little bit. What is a movie or a book that changed your perception of life, and how?
Ooh, a movie or a book. I might go with one of my Malcolm Gladwell books. Is that my man? You know my man, Malcolm Gladwell.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I would probably go with what is the name of it? David and Goliath, I think it's called. Is that
Ah,
what it's called? I think it's David and Goliath. It was probably one of the last ones that I read from him, and I love that book just because number one, all of his books are ill. You've read his books. I know you've read his books. Quite
yeah.
honestly, I think you have one of my books from like again maybe 20 years ago that you borrowed and didn't give back. Blink. I think you still have Blink. That's a whole nother story though. That's a whole nother story. We're not going to go into that, but um I love his stories because you might have it in the background. I mean, you might have it in the background, but I love his stories just because yeah, just because he gives you a historical side, like he points to something in history that proves his example. He points to something in his personal life that proves his example. And in that book in particular, I believe he was just talking about what you see as the underdog, what you see as your disadvantage might quite honestly be your advantage. And then he uses examples like guerrilla warfare.
Hmm.
It's saying like, when small armies try to fight like big armies, like, yeah, they lose like 80% of the time. Like, fam, you can't compete with that. But when they resort to more of guerrilla warfare tactics, yeah, their percentage jumps up. So you
Hmm.
gotta sometimes go with whatever you think your disadvantage is. Like, go with that. Be fast and nimble and use the hills and use the environment a little bit more. And he just went through that
Hmm.
with a bunch of different just situations and people throughout history. So that's a book that I point to that kind of changed my perspective on what's possible and what you should be looking at as what's your strong point, what's everybody else's
Word.
weakness.
Word. Um, so yo, almost at the end of the interview. Two
Oh, that
more
was quick.
questions before the two. No, it wasn't. We just you and I always just have great conversations. It's
It's true.
actually been one of the best interviews I've ever had. I really enjoyed it.
Ah, there we go.
So yo, what is something about you that we don't know that maybe even I don't know?
You know a lot, fam. That's gonna be a
I
hard
do.
one.
I'm taking some stuff to the grave.
You got to. Yeah, you got to. You got to. Something that you don't know. Uh, you know where I was born, right? You know where I was born.
Germany. Come
Okay,
on,
so
man.
yeah, so I don't know, man. I told you,
Was
you
it
know a lot
Hamburg?
there.
Did I even have that right?
Nah, it was the
I
other
don't got that
one.
right. All right.
Frankfurt. Frankfurt.
Okay.
Frankfurt. I don't know what's up with those names. That's crazy. I don't know. I don't know if there's anything that you don't know, so I don't know. I would tell you that the second book that I would have named if we were talking about like another book, it would have been in 48 Laws of Power. I would go with that one. That
Mm,
book I read pretty early and it definitely sparked some things. I mean, and maybe gave me the ability to just recognize some things in other people. Uh, Makes me, manipulation is one of those things that I don't because of that book, and I always hated it anyway. But also because of that book, like when I see somebody trying to like pull strings and manipulate, like nah, like that causes a problem. So I would say that would be
hmm.
something you might not know. That's my second favorite book, or
I'll take it.
second most impactful.
I'll take it. Is there anything that you want to discuss or talk about that we maybe haven't talked about during the course of this interview? Anything about yourself or anything at all? Look at me over here.
I
Let's
mean,
see.
I do, but you said we're about to end, and truth be told, you know how we go. Like I feel like tonight I might call you afterwards, and we might go for another hour and a half or something. But I don't want to do that to your show because I don't want you to have to be chopping everything up and trying to figure out what we're going to do. So I will just end it with something I do want to say is that I, and not even just I, but we, and you know who we is, the family here, all of the brothers, like we are very proud of you, fam. Like, don't think that we don't see it. I know people get caught up in everything else going on in their lives as well, but don't ever like sleep and think that we don't see it and that we're not 100% proud of you and everything that you're doing with the grind, the music, the clothing, the podcast, like all of it. Like from day one, and this is also going back 25 years, like you've been able to share yourself with the world in a way like I don't know many people that can. Like and the vulnerability that you show putting yourself out there every single time, no matter what song it is, no matter the clothing, no matter this podcast, like were you on like 100 shows or something, coming close or something like that? Like, I appreciated it, and I'm proud of you, fam, and always will be. So, and
Thank you.
That's not even to go with everything outside of that, because the family stuff and what I see with that, you at the soccer games, to me is always going to be bigger than all of that. But where you are with that as well, like, trust me, fam, we're proud and we love you. So yeah, keep doing your thing.
Brother. Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right.
Love is reciprocated 1,000%.
Definitely. Thank you for having me on, man. I'm happy to be here. Definitely.
All right, let's get into this lightning round. So I'm gonna give you this or that, and you can give a long-winded answer if you want, but it's really supposed to be I say this or that, and you say this or that.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start light.
Okay, let's go.
Juicy fruit or winter fresh?
Winter fresh. I feel like it lasts a little bit longer.
LeBron or Kobe?
Kobe.
Wolverine or Black Panther?
Black Panther.
Dave Chappelle or Richard Pryor?
Dave Chappelle, but shout out to Brewster's Millions. This would be one of my favorite movies.
Chinese food or Jamaican?
Jamaican.
Your favorite TV dad. This is not an or, but your just favorite TV dad.
I don't want to cause no trouble for you.
I was gonna say Bundy or Cosby, but I was trying not to cause.
Listen. I don't want to cause no trouble for you. So let's give the disclaimer, because I love you, fam. I don't want no trouble for you. Me and Cymarshall Law do not, no jokes, all jokes, no jokes. We do not endorse, any of the rape stuff, rape culture, or anything like that. So to answer this question, I'm going to say Heathcliff Huxtable is my answer, and I'm going to say
nothing to do with
all that other stuff separate.
We're talking about Heathcliff.
That character is it for the time that he was in. Say the 80s going into the 90s, and the way that I grew up and not necessarily having that father figure around at that time, like, that was it. And to see that Black man as a doctor and raising those kids and that nice house and the way that he interacted, like, that was everything. So yeah, to me, there's not even a number two to that. It's Heathcliff. Matter of fact, maybe number three would be his father from the Cosby Show. The dude that was Panthro from Thundercats.
Yeah, you said it. A lot of people don't know that. That's the voice of Panthro right there. Facts. Heathcliff's dad. I love that answer. All right, Martin or Fresh Prince?
Fresh Prince.
Malcolm or Martin?
Malcolm.
I'll take it.
Which would have been another book very high on the list. I mean, that could also be number one, that autobiography. Just dropped some jewels in that one. And I read that when I read that exactly when I needed that. Those are the best books, the ones that you read exactly when you need them. And I read that exactly when I needed that at a very young age, but I was a place where, it definitely helped. So, yeah.
Well, my brother, we've come to the end of this interview, and I truly appreciate you spending your time with me. The interview's been great. I did not mince word when I said it's been one of my favorite interviews. I can't wait till people see it. It's going to be dope. Thank you, my brother. You're one of the best people I know. I meant that from the bottom of my heart.
Hey, thank you for having me. Hey, keep doing your thing. Can't wait to see this interview and all the other upcoming interviews, man. Keep it up, man.
Yo, thank you, my brother. Cymarshall Law, the brother Josh. And we out like that. Peace, love, and positive energy. Peace.
Hey, yo, it's Cymarshall Law.
My name grabs
incredible. The incredible.
On to ring the alarm. Another sound is dying.
The incredible.
On to ring the alarm. Another sound is dying.
The incredible, lyrical, and
They
original.
slept on me and said they meant no harm.